Old enemies, new laws. Thursday night footy at the MCG, the lights were on, air was chilly, and two of AFL's oldest rivalries trudged onto the ground. Not with finals on the line, but something a little bit more lineal. Pride. Carlton and Essendon, two of the most decorated clubs in VFL AFL history, they locked horns again. But in truth, this was not Battle of the Titans. This was two fallen giants clinging to scraps. For Carlton, this was a year of disappointment, and for Essendon, a year of outright misery. And yet, Zach Merrett was playing his 250th game for the Bombers, and Tom de Koning reached 100, and possibly his last time in navy blue. The contest carried a bit of weight, a milestone game, a rivalry clash, and an opportunity for one team to end a season of despair on a high. The Blues, they delivered in the end, 13-12-90, defeating Essendon 8-8-56, consigning Essendon to a 12th straight defeat. But the story wasn't just the scoreboard. It was contrast, identity. Carlton flawed, still with some glimmer that he can get better. And Essendon, young, broken, but searching for answers. Let's get into it. Carlton grabbed control very early in the opening minutes, and he summed up both teams' years. It was scrappy, disposals were rushed, and kicks anywhere but the target. Players looked like they were second-guessing themselves. Carlton struck first and became an unlikely spark in little Frankie Evans doing what he does, who has made a habit recently of proving everyone wrong. And if ever there was hope for Carlton, it is Frankie Evans' first half to second half year. He pounced on the loose ball and gave it off to snap the opener. From there, the Blues midfield took control. Georgie Hewett, Sam Walsh, Patrick Cripps, swarm centre bounces. Essendon committed men behind stoppage, creating repeat stoppage entries for the Blues and clearance dominance. They were plus 11 for the night, and that started early on. Essendon couldn't handle the physical mismatch. Peter Wright, though, was Essendon's big avenue to goal, providing structure with his contested marking and giving them a bail option. He delivered two important kicks inside 50. His teammates did fluff them, and at Carlton's quarter time, they led by 2 goals. They looked slightly sharper, though ever wasteful. Harry McKay 0-2 summed up his year, but Carlton's year as a whole, where the radar has been anything but on point. Quarter time, 3 goals 4-22 to Essendon's 1 goal 4-10. Second quarter, Hewett started to come to town. This guy is the John Nichols medal in waiting. Blues surged. The second quarter was where Carlton started to flex some muscle. Hewett, he turned the game into a personal workshop. By half-time, he'd racked up a staggering 25 touches and 8 clearances, almost out-clearing the entire Essendon side. His ability to extract at the contest, but find it to give a burst on the outside, gave Carlton wave after wave of forward momentum in this quarter. Evans, he struck again, finding some sneaky little space. Flynn Young, he popped up as well, showing composure, which is way beyond his 9-game career, it has to be said, with a solid finish. Suddenly, Carlton had a bit of variety. Walsh drove forward, Cripps bulldozed tackles and slotted forward, and McKay clunking marks all around the ground. For Essendon, it was confusion. One moment, Xavier Dersma had a free kick. The next, the umpire called advantage against his own team. Miscommunication, panic, frustration bowled over. And this kind of summed Essendon's night. Hard at places, lost in others. By the main break, Carlton had 7 goals 6-48 to Essendon's 2 goals 6-18. The Bombers had no answer, and Merrett's milestone was being swallowed into mediocrity. Quarter 3 came, though, and this is where Carlton have struggled, and Essendon gave some struggles for the Blues. They were going to give Merrett something to remember. It had to come now, and for a brief patch, they did. Matt Guelphy reacted quicker to the ground ball, which has been Carlton's bugbear all year, and he kicked 2 in quick succession. The Bombers had 3 straight inside 50s, looked alive. Keko added a burst of energy through that midfield. Another staple of Carlton's season this year, you're quick in the middle, we struggle. His dash and return gave a 2-goal return this game, gave them a massive ray of optimism for 2026. But every time Carlton's were looking in a problem, Jacob Weitering became a brick wall. He was looking like a thoroughbred down the back, intercepting everything, shut down former Blue VFL player Liam McMahon entirely, while zoning off and cutting off other entries. The Bombers simply resorted to bombing it long, and Weitering did feast. Evans bobs up again. His third goal killed Essendon's run and gave Carlton the dominance they required. By three-quarter time, the Blues had led now 11-8-74 to 5 goals, 6-36. The result now was all but sealed. And quarter four, this is where the intensity fizzled out. You were wanting finals intensity. You definitely didn't find it here. For most of the night, it was bruise-free 40, played very like a pre-season game. But for 5 minutes in the last, Essendon did spark some quick goals, as we've always seen with the Blues. Guelphy again, Keiko and Wright cut the margin back to a respectable 20 points. The Bombers pressed, Merrett tried to surge forward, and for a moment, there was the milestone man might have dragged his side back into it. But again, Carlton steadied. Walsh tactically subbed out for this game, bringing in Lucas Camporelli. He'd done his damage, Walsh, though, in that time, but Cripps, in his absence, lifted. He was huge around stoppage in the fourth. Flynn Young, he delivered some absolute beautiful moments, and he kicked the sealer before Zachy Williams snuck forward to snag his major. And when the siren rang and the dust had settled, Blues won 13 goals, 12-90 to 8 goals, 8-56. Carlton, they win. It was a hollow win, but an important win. 2 games in a row now they've won. They've got a little bit of momentum with a hell of a lot of work to do in the off-season. Essendon, 12 straight. It gets a little bit worse with Gold Coast next week. This is their worst streak since 2016. Now, the tactical insights. This wasn't a classic, but tactically it revealed plenty about where Carlton and Essendon are. Beneath the errors and the milestone storylines, the structural contrast between the two sides is quite stark. Carlton's centre clearance punch is the heart of everything Carlton do, and it was the heart of the win here. The dominance came from centre bounce. The first half alone, Carlton led by 15-4 in centre clearances, a differential that not only shapes territory, but also helps Carlton control momentum. Hewett and Cripps bullied Essendon's smaller midfield, repeatedly winning first possession and surging forward. Hewett in particular produced one of the best halves of the season, almost outclearing Essendon's entire midfield contingent on his own. What stood out, though, wasn't just the brute force. It was the connection from the outside runners and Sam Walsh's spread on that release. It also highlighted Carlton's massive problem this year. They win it, it's who they give it to. Countless times Carlton turned it over from this position. Durden receiving a ball on the overlap straight into the opposition. Even Nick Haynes was guilty of this, and Essendon couldn't track them runs, but Carlton couldn't punish them from it. This is going to be something that over the next off-season Carlton have to address, either via trade, via draft, or via training. Carlton at times cleared it and then resorted to bombing it and turning it over. But when they cleared with purpose and hit team up some space, they looked hard to beat. Carlton have been criticised for its predictability here, and this gave you a glimpse of when it goes well, what it looks like, but when it goes wrong. Carlton have to get that midfield makeup right in this off-season. For Essendon, this was a tactical nightmare. With so many injuries, they were relying on makeshift combinations. Kako, though, produced the spark. His size can't match Cripps and Hewett, but he's now certainly can. They were almost always a step behind here, chasing shadows. Once Carlton got the ball out and into a target, the game did tilt Blues. And this is an area for both sides have got to heavily work on in the off-season with personnel. Carlton's forward half pressure is a staple of what they do. 15-10 tackle advantage inside 50. This is more important than their clearance work due to their inefficiency when they do win it in the clearance. This isn't just about raw pressure, it's about intent. From the opening bounce, the Blues look to trap it in, and that is really how 2023 was formulated versus 2025. The pressure was so good that it kind of hid Carlton's bad entries. Carlton managed to suffocate Essendon's rebound. Evans epitomises this. His 3 goals were impressive standalone, but his manic closing speed and rushed efforts forced the mistakes from the backline. Flynn Young and Jesse Motlop played similar roles, and they were really good, especially working against Mason Redman and Archie Roberts. The heat was coming off them from all angles. This collective buy-in has been missing at Carlton at times, but it does paint the picture. When Carlton come up against a good half-back line, they can negate this. Too often this year, Carlton have relied on a key forward to win it in the air, and there's been no pressure. This is one of the things that masks it. Carlton's operation is simple. Get better entries inside 50 and better crummers. 9 separate goal kickers, though, shows that they had frontal pressure, and the Bombers coughed it up at times under the pressure. Carlton generated repeat opportunities, even when their keys misfired. But against a stronger opposition, this could have been different. Essendon's lack of structure on paper, they had 18 players unavailable and 2 late withdrawals. That's brutal. But there is signs there that they could be better. They lacked a bit of a physical presence in this game, which they have in the injury table. The Bombers' ball movement at times was predictable, but when that pressure got up to 200 in the fourth quarter, Carlton did look frail. Before that, they were often bombing it long to contests. They had to commit men behind the ball. The corridor use was minimal. Their switches were incredibly slow. But when they did manage to get it out there, they were looking pretty good. Carlton's defenders didn't have to take risks as much, but when they did, they did look in trouble. This is the plan for Essendon moving forward. They have got some good users in there. Their draft is going to be incredibly important in their trade, just to give them points of difference that they require. But Carlton did look strong and did control it. Essendon at times do lack that system that gets them out of the shit when it's hard. Their scores came from isolated efforts. Guelphy finding space, Ginger Riot using all of his effort, and Kako breaking lines. They need to find a more consistent method to go. Carlton did have them layers, though, of experienced midfield and forwards. Even though they were the younger side, that is warped because of Peter Wright playing. The game was more of a microcosm of both sides last 2 months. Essendon, injuries and lack of tactical adaptability and handling pressure, and Carlton, when it's on their terms, they look good. It's finding ways to wrestle it and not cough up from your own mistakes. The big thing, though, is Carlton's waste versus spread. This is one area Carlton will have to alarmingly convert. 1 goal for Harry shows he could have cashed in on the inside back line. The hard work wasn't finished off with 6 points. The spread, the ability to get the ball on the outside and then turn it over straight away and explicitly. This is crucial for Carlton. The difference in them being 15th, 12th, 6th, 1st is their ability to actually maximise when they're on top and limit the damage when the opposition is there. Hewett, Cripps, they win a lot of ball. Evans has his moments, even Zachy Williams, but the balance for final side is where Carlton have lacked. Rather than looking one-dimensional, Carlton have to look layered. They have to find another avenue opening when one fails. That adaptability is incredibly important, but their ability to execute under pressure. There's some signs, though. Moyer's spark gives Carlton some hope. Young's mobility shows some signs. Obviously, they've got a lot of players to come back. Nick Newman, Kerner, players like that. That will make it a lot more sharper. But that's where the frustration lies with the fans. Pieces are there. Midfield is capable of dominance, but it's not capable of application. And defenders can set up behind the ball well. It doesn't spread very well. And the forwards need to implement that pressure, but also spread the goal-scoring load. Consistency has evaded them all season. They showed bits against Port and Essendon, but this needs to be the baseline, not conditional. Let's look at the key players in this game then. George Hewett was sensational. 36 touches, 10 clearances. He'll win the John Nichols medal by an absolute Flemington. Franny Evans, 3 goals, 19 disposals. Good pressure. He saved his career this year. He will get a contract. Jacob Weitering, dominant, intercepted, blanketed McMahon, controlled Essendon in their rare surges. And Sam Walsh, subbed off tactically early, 28 touches, 5 inside 50s. Carlton have to build it around Sam Walsh next year. It has to be Hewett, Jagger, Cripps feeding this guy at all costs. For Essendon, Zach Merrett, 24 touches, 9 tackles. He was inspirational at times, unlucky not to get his goal. He's a massive servant for the Bombers. Kako, 19 touches, 2 goals. Burst, speed, a rare highlight. He is everything that you hope for from them. And Guelphy, 3 goals, worked tirelessly. A real pain in the arse. But the big picture, 2 clubs, 2 futures hoping to be brighter. For Carlton, this win ends a horror season with at least a glimmer of joy. 9 wins is a massive failure, but Carlton can't be shrouded by the positives. Yes, the youth has looked good. Hewett has been at his peak, and Walsh returning has shown he is the man. But there is so many indecisions about the Blues. The elephant in the room, De Koning, perhaps his last. JSOS's future. Carlton's ruck setup will dramatically shift. In my opinion, it's a chance to make it more spread heavy and more exciting because you're going to have to play a Bullock. For Carlton, a lot of work to do in the off-season, off-field and on-field. For Essendon, the numbers are damning. 12 straight losses, 18 players unavailable. A team that's devoid without belief, but they have shown resilience. Merrett deserves a lot more in his milestone. Kako is building, and that youth of Archie Roberts and Gus Clark, to name just a few, looks exciting. This is going to be exciting because these 2 old rivals need to be back where they should be. They share history, now they need to share a better future, because right now they're in the shadows of the top 9 sides in the league. Shadows of the Giants, Carlton 90, Essendon 56. A rivalry renewed on paper but played out like a pre-season hit-out. For the Blues, it's a high note to end a very failed year. For the Bombers, it's more pain with another indignity coming up against Gold Coast. Old enemies, new laws, but 2 sets of fans incredibly proud and incredibly passionate of their boys. The fans maybe deserve better, but maybe this is the night that the Blues and the Bombers unite, use this, and go, this is the chapter of a dark year. Next year will be better. For the final time, for a Carlton review of 2025, that is your lot. Thank you very much for supporting me this year. It's been great. We've got loads of content though coming up. Draft, trade, finals, our other watch-alongs. We're nearly at 9k, so if you've made it to this stage of the video, please know I love you with all my heart. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get to 9k. See you soon. Pom out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.